Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight. I'm Judith Quoba, and today Elana Freeland is back. Elana Freeland is a public speaker and author. She has written a lot of books, and the last one is in its final stages. The last chapter is getting touch-ups. And she also is a storyteller, a ghostwriter, a researcher, and she is probably very famous for her books about geoengineering and all the problems that go along with that. So, Elana, welcome back.
Thanks, Judith. It seems like it's been, I don't know, has it been a year?
No, it was late spring.
Okay.
Yeah, last year. And but you know, I knew that you were writing, and then I'm a little bit cautious with interview requests because it's quite an undertaking writing a book.
Oh yes, I've turned many interviews down just because I just can't I can't speak until the baby is sort of close to being out in a way. When I write a book, it's not like I'm writing everything I know. It's more like I know a few things and I'm following those threads, and then I'm writing as I go, and then I'm making discoveries. That's really how you have to write when you're writing about national security issues like geoengineering, because most of geoengineering is classified. And people don't realize this. They think because they see the word in the newspaper about solar radiation management or something like that, the latest Bill Gates investment in it, they think that it's open source, but it's not. And so you have to just go bit by bit, and you begin to see the lay of the land. And then you make, if you're really paying attention, you make some very interesting discoveries, which for me, with this last book, is how it went. Because I'm late. I should have had this book out a few months ago. But because of the lockdown and the fact that it was the entire COVID-19 thing has been about synthetic biology, at least on the biological side, not the political side. The biological side, this has just been a golden opportunity for me to hear from many, many doctors, many researchers at universities, to read a lot of patents, a lot of papers. And so I took my time because there was, of course, a mystery involved in this. And I had to be a bit cautious as I felt my way through. Plus, I had a biology background many years ago in undergraduate work. My second major was biology. But the biology now has changed so drastically because they're moving molecular biology, which is what I studied, to digital biology. And that's an entirely other creature. And they're also moving from an actual virus or viral way of looking at disease to synthetic viral diseases, which means they're man-made. So, all of this can be confusing even for trained biologists, which I'm really not. I just had my training and could have gone further and didn't. So it's been really exciting and a lot of hard work. I think this is the hardest book I've ever written because there are so many elements in it. But just to give your listeners a little clarity on that, I have written 2 previous books on geoengineering. The first one was in 2014, Chemtrails, HARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. And in that one, I go deeply into what the CIA like to brandish its sword of conspiracy theory, chemtrails, et cetera, and actually the term chemtrails comes straight from the US Air Force Academy chemistry manual. So I went from there to just show basically what's being smeared across our skies in military and passenger jets. And I posited a few things that I thought it was being used for, because I didn't think it was just pollution. I thought it was intentional. There were things being laid in the stratosphere that would come down and we would breathe them in. It would go into our water supply. They would go into our soil for our growing food. I also noticed that Monsanto at that point had created an aluminum resistant seed that we call Terminator seed, because you have to buy it every year. You can't just grow seed from seed. And I realized that at that point that Monsanto was involved in the chemtrails geoengineering going on, because someone had told it to make an aluminum resistant seed because they were going to just douse us in aluminum. And that is exactly what they've done. Mm-hmm. So that book, I mentioned Morgellons in there last chapter, spent the whole chapter on the work of independent scientist Clifford Carnicom, so that people could understand that this is a nanotechnology, nano meaning 1/1000th of a meter. Morgellons was purposely laid. There's no question about it. It's sort of half biological and half inorganic. And it creates inside of us, it creates a network, actually. It is self-replicating, and it's mimetic. It mimics our blood vessels, our nerves, our veins, etc., so that it can create its own network that sort of lies tangential to the other, to the natural. And it is very electromagnetically sensitive. So a network was laid in us years ago. For the last over 2 decades, we have had at least the first part of that 10 or 15 years was Morgellons being laid into our system for what is now beginning to come, as we saw with the COVID-19. And so the second book, I realized enough in the first book, and then I attracted the attention of a guy who had worked for the CIA in geoengineering for his entire life, Billy Hayes, known as the HAARP Man. And the HAARP Man led me through to show me what else they had in mind besides the chemical trails, and showed me that Lockheed Martin was very engaged in resurrecting the space fence, which had been part of the SDI program, Strategic Defense Initiative, back in the Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Dick Cheney years of the 80s.
The winter Bush years.
Say it again?
The winter Bush years.
Yes. Now they were bringing it back because they had had such success with HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project up in Alaska, in controlling the ionosphere. And they were bringing ions down into our atmosphere and making our atmosphere into an antenna or a battery. And that was what they needed for all the wireless operations that they had in mind. So then we got our computers from the military, we got our cell phones from the military, and now the whole world has turned into a huge wireless space fence lockdown, is what I called it in the second book. That title was Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. Out of that book, I departed from Billy. I laid out the mechanical infrastructure of how the entire world has been weaponized through the environment. And it was through that, and then realizing what Morgellons was, realizing more deeply what nanotechnology was, that I decided to write the third and last book in a sort of trilogy, that if you wanted to know how the environment is being used against us to control us, you would have all three phases of my discovery And the last book's title is Geoengineered Transhumanism: How the Environment Has Been Weaponized by Chemicals, Electromagnetics, and Nanotechnology for Synthetic Biology. And that's the book that I'm now finishing. I've spent 2 years on it, and it will be out this spring. I'm bringing it out myself. I've left my publisher because I really wasn't making enough money. And now I'm going to do this one myself. So a little more time consuming, but this is my last book on this topic. I'm serious. I'm not going to write another one. I think I will have given my best shot to show what geoengineering really is. It's not just about the weather. It's not about carbons at all. It's not about climate change at all. These geoengineers are the climate changers. And all of that we were told before was told to us as a cover story, much like the cover stories that we're experiencing now regarding this latest drama. So, so that gives you the overview, and then we can go from there. I think I got the overview right.
Yeah, you have it right. So did I hear that correctly, that now I have to be very, very cautious how I put this, because I'm one peep away from having my channel deleted?
Oh yes, you must do whatever you need. And if, you can cut me off or anything, Judith.
No, it's okay. So, you know what? There is a life after YouTube.
Yes, there is.
Shh.
A lot of radio people who interview me are now putting it up on other things.
Yeah, I know.
And then they try it on the YouTube. And if it goes down on YouTube, they don't care because they're already up on these other things.
Yeah. So, did I understand correctly that there is a direct connection between nanotechnology, geoengineering, and the big C?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I knew that early on. I guess it was a year ago, January, when we began to see the footage of Wuhan. As soon as I saw,
where they are shaking and then dropping.
And then when they dropped, as soon as I saw that, I had it. 5G. It's a 5G environment. I knew it because 3 months before that, maybe not even that long, Elon Musk had launched quite a few of the satellites that are going up for 5G in order to, make the whole world transmissionable. And I don't know. I immediately got it, and by then I was, of course, writing, and I had just finished sections that I had notes from back when AIDS was brought out in the 80s. I remember even then. This is what a researcher I am. I was still a Waldorf teacher at that time, but I was reading a news account of AIDS and saw the World Health Organization in the article and started reading a little more carefully. And that's when I realized that the World Health Organization had actually created AIDS and had loosed it in very pre-chosen populations, you might say. And that was really my first experience. The second experience was I received a document from a Native American in Alaska talking about the not HIV, but the hepatitis A of what was going, or hepatitis B, what was going on up in Alaska, very quietly. And then I read her account of that. And that's my second aha. regarding the advent of synthetic biology, basically, because the HIV, hepatitis B was a type of a little piece of DNA that we can recognize from being one of the ingredients of the present vaccine that is so contentious. And that has to do with how I feel that this vaccine in particular, not only is it not a real vaccine,
it's a device, yeah.
It's very much a software device. And it will be able to do all sorts of things, but along with it, in the construct of the vaccine itself, the way it's coming in, are many, many tiny ingredients. And there's where you see the devil in the details, is to understand what these do. And one of the details of the devil is the HIV will be in it. And possibly even Hep B. I mean, very possible, because this is a grand experiment going on all around the world. And of course, the most surprising element people must be noticing is how readily everyone has taken it up. And that itself is part of the story of the very careful, decades-long preparation for this event. This did not happen overnight. This did not just take Wuhan, et cetera, by surprise by any means. No, it was very carefully constructed, because this is the grand experiment of all kinds of combinations of this one vaccine to see what happens. And the fact that people have been quite mind controlled regarding this is really also a matter of preparation, of years and years of television watching and iPhones and electromagnetism all around us. All of this has to do with readying us to be pulsed with, in my opinion, to be pulsed with frequencies that have to do with doing what you're told, obedience, and an immediate belief. I'd love to do a survey, which of course I cannot do, but to do a survey of all the people who have drunk the Kool-Aid, as we say in America, regarding this. My guess is they all still own a television.
Oh yes, of course, they stream it 24/7.
Yes, and I've never owned a television, I'm proud to say, nor do I own an iPhone or a cell phone. They're weapon systems from the American military, and the military has all the specifications and frequencies that you and I will never even never see. So I don't really trust the technology, just as Marshall McLuhan, the great social commentator of my generation, told us years and years ago, that I heard loud and clear: the medium is the message, not the content of the medium, but the medium itself is the message. And that's how I feel about the television. I know it has tremendous subliminal technology in it beyond belief. I mean, you know, I've got it in this next book. I've got a little definition of how it works. And then the cell phone, of course, is easy, because you begin to pulse and resonate. Problem is, we're resonant beings. And so when you're pulsed with, say you're pulsed with a frequency for complacency, that, oh, well, all political leaders are dishonest, so what's the use? I won't do anything. When you're pulsed with the frequency for complacency, you begin to resonate to that frequency, even though it's coming from outside your body. And that's the problem with this electromagnetic world, is we've all lost, in a way, lost touch with ourselves, because we're too busy picking up frequencies around us and resonating to them. We can't stop our body and our brain from doing that. That's our beauty, our resonance. The resonance is from the Schumann resonance of 7.83 hertz, but it is being manipulated now by the geoengineers, and we can't depend on it now. And so our brain is going every which way. We may even have thoughts that we don't recognize as our own, that we would never think that. Why have I thought that? All of this has to do with the fact that we live in a wireless world now, in which some not very good people, and I assume they're still people, they have 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, etc. But many of them may have a vacuum inside their soul, which they have where they have abandoned their humanity. And in that case, there may actually be the entry of entities that very much like to live off of human light and munch away at us. And I really don't know. I can't, I can't prove that, but I certainly can prove how this technology works together. And what I'm basically saying with these 3 books is, yes, the same people at NASA and the NSA was involved in it then, and Raytheon Corporation was involved, Lockheed Martin Corporation, all the big defense corporate guys were involved in HARP. And then it goes on to the space fence, the resurrection of the space fence. And then now here we are in bringing in a medical tyranny through our own biology and what's being implemented in us through these years of geoengineering, whereby things were loosed in the upper atmosphere and we took them in. And they were purposely engineered, genetically engineered, to interface with our biological system. At the same time, they were readied and prepared for what is known as brain-computer interface, BCI. And that's really what this is all about, is this relationship we're having with an AI, artificial intelligence world, with all of its gewgaws, all of its mechanisms around us, and we don't know it. We don't know that we now have the actual hardware. It's on a nanoscale, yes, it's tiny, but it is hardware, and it's in us. It's in every one of us, everyone who breathes, because the Earth is enveloped in one atmosphere, really. Doesn't matter who loosed it. I mean, I'm sure all the nations know about this. I'm sure of it. And some of them have been attempting to prepare to combat it or utilize it for their own defense. And I wish them well, because this is just the beginning. This is just the setup. And so maybe I'm missing something, but the only way I can imagine that we can confront this is by learning more and more about it. No matter if it feels bad. I don't care if it feels bad. I mean, I'm not here to sit around and feel good. And if you have that idea of, what your democracy should be, that you should be able to do what you want, and that's your idea of freedom, and nobody should interfere with you and all, that's all very adolescent to me. That's not how things work here at all. So, we all have to pitch in. And what we're seeing now is how many people living in democratic types of societies have not pitched in, and now we're in a huge problem. And it was inevitable. I knew it was inevitable, even though I kept railing for. I've been waiting for this moment for 5 decades. I knew it would come, because you can't let things go like, your sitting president is murdered in front of you and on television, and then nobody serves a day in jail. You just let it go. Nobody can do 3 assassinations And then nobody serves a day in jail other than the patsy, of course. And then nothing is done about it. This is inevitable. You can't pretend like things aren't happening. And so now we're in a real mess. But at the same time, I have to say that what's really encouraging is so many people are waking up, Judith. So many people are waking up. They're contacting me. I'm seeing them in little videos, reading their essays. I guess with most human beings, it just has to get really bad
Yeah.
in order to pay any attention whatsoever to what's going on. And maybe that's the way we'll always be. I hope not. Well, we could do a lot more productive things if we didn't have to go through this over and over again. But at the same time, you now see where you can learn so much. Yeah, it's not a matter of surfing the internet, and having cool video games and cool movies and all that stuff. It's learning our condition and learning about how this technology that we so love, we love what it brings us anyway, learning what some of the other side of it is and how it can be used and exploited for power and gain. So to me, it's a curse and a blessing what this whole thing has been. And I don't know where we will end up. But me, I learned years ago to just live day by day. As the one speaker of my generation said, Ram Dass, be here now. And I pretty much follow that, subscribe to that philosophy. I don't sit around and think about yesterday or tomorrow that much, but I very much want to give people the option to really read something where they can learn real facts. They don't have to play the game of the mainstream media, which lies to us consistently and is owned by corporations and run by the CIA. We can actually read something, count on what that author thought was true, did their best to give lots of references for it to be checked, and that they can then go from there and perhaps produce something even better and more insightful. That's my hope. That's my hope.
So why this obsession to control everything here? I mean, from a psychological point of view, to me, that is totally psychopathic.
It is psychopathic. It absolutely is. I don't know if you've ever lived in a commune. I lived in a few communes in the 60s. It was one of our ideals to live together on the land. Everybody works, you live simply, you eat wonderful food from the garden, that sort of thing. And I lived in 5 communes over those years. And it's really hard to work things out when you don't have a hierarchy. When you're a truly democratic little organization like a commune, usually what happens is one personality, a dominating personality, will sort of edge usually him, way in and start running everything, start telling people what to do. And then there's some sort of revolution, and people don't like that. And then people go take their marbles and go off to play somewhere else, and all sorts of things. A lot of drama. And it's much easier to have a benign dictator. It's much easier. Just do what they say. And then if you don't like what they say, then you get someone else. And that's kind of what we're seeing now. We're kind of in between the way we've always been, where we've always had a hierarchy, and we've made peace with it, so that and then we established elections where we could elect a new leader, and then do what that leader said, and then now we have an entire anarchist movement going on where supposedly we're not going to need anyone. Well, unfortunately, that's not really true yet. We're not developed enough to be able to self-rule. For me to be able to control myself would be the first step to a truly egalitarian, non-hierarchic setup. And in the world, that's kind of how we are. So what we have now is a sort of battle going on between the globalists and who have always wanted to run the entire earth, and then the different little nation states, because we haven't had nation states that long. People might think we've had them thousands of years. Not so. We haven't had them that long. We've had like the Austro-Hungarian Empire. We've had empires, and we had the Austro-Hungarian Empire until World War I. So it's a little complex, the ruling, because if we were able to truly rule ourselves, well, then we wouldn't need these governments. We wouldn't need to deal with power mongers like the global elites and the new kid on the block, the corporations. I mean, these massive corporations where everyone's Teflon. You can't pin blame anywhere. We have these huge mega power structures now that don't give a fig about us. They just want us to buy their stuff or send our money, or they can take our money or whatever. And one of those is the medical industry. I mean, people have to stop thinking that this is the nice, gentle doctor in the small town. This is a huge industry that profits from sickness, not from health. So now American people, I don't know how it is in Germany, but in America, people are sicker than they've ever been. And I've watched it happen over the decades. People's health is just going down the tubes, and you really see it in the children. Most children have problems and they're on medication. That's just the fact. Not a few, most children in America. So well, we have something out of control, but because we are the little guy and we're not organized, and we believe in our authority figures as we have for thousands of years, everything's turning belly up because it's not working. The moral nature of society has degenerated greatly. I don't know if it's the Christian church has, the Catholic Church, the Christian churches have not been attended. I don't know if that counts. Or I don't know what it is, but I know that organized religion is no longer something that most people seem to want. And in a way, there's a good part of that, where if it were that they were willing now to do for themselves what they used to get from the church, that would be pretty good. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Doesn't strike me as being the case, at least in America. It's kind of whoopee is sort of what happens here. You don't have the shackles anymore of the have to. So now you do what you want to. And now we're getting a little too close to Aleister Crowley's maxim, which is, do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. And that's Satanism. That's not at all what I want. Because, society is an important ingredient of Earth life. Whether you admire your society or not, or you agree with its leaders, or it doesn't matter. We need this. We need a human society. Is it enough to just have a neighborhood? No, I don't think so, because we have this communication device now, the computer, the television. We're sort of all learning from each other on a world basis now. So it probably isn't going to be enough to think, well, let's just go back to the past and have small communities where everybody knows each other, and you can choose your lead. I don't think it's going to work, because I'm haunted by that other maxim which says you can never go back. So if we're going forward, how are we going to do that? And that's where we come into loggerheads, against the global elites, because it looks to me like they've decided that they're tired of waiting for us to pick up the threads of our independence or our ability to think or our ability to govern our lives. And now they're going to control our lives. And they're going to control it through mind control and a medical fascist system that they seem to be calling, in America anyway, precision medicine. I like that term, precision medicine. What it means is they can fix you remotely, because now you have all this nanotech in you, and they're going to make it seem like they're putting the nanotech in you. It's just one little device. That's not true. There's all kinds of nanotech in you. And so now if they can get the frequency for that and the specs on how to operate it, well then, you know, they'll be directing you. And if they want you to have a sickness because they're not making enough money in March 2021, well then they can create a sickness in you, especially if we have this operating system that's called a vaccine coming in, and they can create what they need in you. Oh, you have oh my gosh, it's the Spanish flu all over again. Imagine that. Or oh no, it's polio. Wow. So then they can bring you in or create a regional pandemic of some sort, and then, you know, make a lot of money from that. This is my concern. Is I do not trust these people at all. And I don't trust the system. I studied Chinese medicine for 6 years, and I've used it my whole life. I've told you before, I haven't been to a doctor since I was 13. I've done all self-healing with my children that I raised and myself. And I don't trust these organizations at all. They lie all the time. They pay doctors to lie. There's just, you know, there's all kinds of things that are untrustworthy. I don't think it's that I'm paranoid. So what shall we do now that we're in this jam? To me, the first thing I would do is learn as much as I can about my situation so that I can make good decisions. And to do that, I'm going to have to step outside the fold. I'm going to have to step outside consensus reality, perhaps even, but certainly step outside the TV. In fact, I recommend everybody take their TV outside, put some goggles on and smash it, and and then wrap it up and take it down to the dump and be done with it, because it's nothing more than a mind control device.
Yeah.
And then you can start to read again. Ooh, imagine that, reading. Most people in America don't read anymore. So, you know, why do I write these books? Well, I write them for the very few people who really still do read and think. And my hope is that someday there'll be more of those people, but I'm not going to hold my breath. So that would be what I would say. That's step number one. It's not a matter of finding the right doctor. It's not a matter of finding the right hospital, the right drug, the right whatever, like along those lines. That's a line of non-health that we should abandon. But we shouldn't abandon it without having found another way to go. See, I have another way to go that's very practiced, works really well, and I do it every day. It's not a matter of taking a pill. I have to sometimes suffer a little bit of pain in order to, you know, make sure everything's working, and it's a wonderful natural lifestyle, because I believe in a natural human evolution. I'm a student of Rudolf Steiner, and you know, I studied Steiner many years ago when I became a Waldorf teacher, a Steiner teacher, in my training. And since then, many years later, I've left Waldorf education simply because I burned out and started writing again, because I had been a writer before I was a teacher. So to me, Steiner's beauty is that he sees a meaning in every life, that we have all come here to do something. And some of us to do mighty, what the world would call mighty deeds, and others in the world would call small deeds. But we have that obligation, and we have that that opportunity to further develop ourselves by learning to discern truth from falsehood, disinformation from misinformation. Um, what someone is really saying, when we're listening to them, we can hear that in a way there's something below what they're saying that doesn't quite jive with us. We develop our sensitivities. Rudolf Steiner says we don't have just 5 senses, we have 12. And to operate on all cylinders firing, if I could use a machine metaphor, is of course what we want while we're here. We want to spend our time as wisely as possible, because we're not here that long. 80, 90 years is not that long to learn all the lessons we have to learn. So I'm very thrilled to be here, despite all the problems, or maybe because of all the problems. I mean, I'm a warrior, and I'm very excited about discovering what is true and what isn't true by dint of my own effort, not because I found the great guru who can do all that work for me, but because I'm developing myself. And that's kind of how I see humanity, is we have an evolution we're involved in. And yeah, there's a lot of couch potatoes and a lot of people who seem pretty mean-spirited and small-minded. Absolutely, that's always in every era. But that needn't be our definition of humanity. The other definition of humanity that people keep making is to think of some of our really psychopathic leaders as being the model of what a human being is and isn't. And no, that's not true at all. The great human beings are the ones that I look at. When I was a kid, I was an only child, and I had a pretty unstable family life. And so I would retreat into books. And I remember setting myself a program when I was about 11 through 13 or so, when I decided I would read nothing but biographies and autobiographies of great people. So I developed a list, and I would just take one after the other out of the library. And I was a really good reader and a quick reader. And I just went through all those lives just to see how these people did it. How did they do so much in such a short amount of time? Or, and a lot of times what I found is a lot of these people, I think right away of Dostoevsky, a lot of these people had a lot of trouble when they were young and got into a lot of trouble. And a lot of them had a long-term illnesses that they had to struggle with as a young person. Very hard to be in bed for months and that sort of thing. And I found, wow, they had a lot of struggle. They had a lot of things that made them stronger. And that sounds right to me, that's part of life. Because I had a hard life. I didn't know it was as hard as it was until I was older, but I knew it was hard. And I wanted to be a great soul, a Mahatma, like Gandhi is thought of as a Mahatma. He was a lousy father and parent and husband, I think.
He was a racist. He was a misogynist. I don't have him on a pedestal.
Exactly. And yet here was this will driving him to do this one thing for India. I mean, it was, it's almost like somebody says to you, look, you can be remembered by history as great, but you're going to have to be really awful in these other things. Are you up for it? And I don't know what I would say. I'd probably say no. I wouldn't want to be that awful in those things, because for me, it's had to do with self-development. You know, first of all, I had to get to know myself, because I didn't really know myself when I was a child, right? And most people don't seem to know themselves all the way through life, actually. But I finally learned who I was through the years, and now I'm completely who I am, I think. And I'm able to call on all those forces of this individual that I am. And that's kind of how I see it is, yeah, we've got these psychopaths, these globalist corporate psychopaths, who all they think of is profit, but also they have many of them are esotericists, and they have big plans for humanity, such as we're all going to be cyborgs. We're all going to be, the transhumanist dream that they have is that we're going to merge with the AI systems and be able to draw the internet before our gaze at will, and be a participant in dramas going on in other people's internet scenarios, and that our entire life will be cybernetic, no feelings, no sexuality to speak of, other than, you know, the prime breeders that they have in mind. So they have their vision for us. This is not for them, mind you.
Yeah.
They feel that, you know, they have this right because they're from certain bloodlines, they're from certain lineages, and I'm pitted against them. I'm one of the people pitted against that vision, not against these people, because I don't know them personally, so I can't speak for that. I have thoughts. Yes, and so to do that, yeah, I could go and, you know, maybe kill a couple of them, which wouldn't do anything. But mostly, I need to develop myself. Mostly, I need to expand myself and really live deeply into my time. That's how I see it, and I got that from Rudolf Steiner. You know, to be able to really enter into your time and bring the gifts you have to you may think, oh, well, you're just one person, Elana. It doesn't really matter. You need millions and billions of people. It doesn't really work that way. It really doesn't work that way. It's more quality than quantity. And they know that. The global elites know that. They know, you know, certain people they watch because they know things about their past and maybe past lives and maybe their astrological chart, or however they do it with their tricks and magical ways. But to really operate out of one's individuality in this era, not previous eras, this is the beginning of learning to be individual. This is what Rudolf Steiner said. And the greatest favor we can do to people, said Rudolf Steiner, regarding becoming individuals in future generations, despite the machine age, despite the fact that we're in this battle now to keep from becoming cyborgs, is that we recognize evil in our time and can name it and describe it. And that's the choice I've made. That's what I do, is to really recognize the evil of our time. And that's why I've written 3 books on geoengineering, because this is the grand black magic act to control the planet is coming through the geoengineering. You may balk at the word black magic. It has a very exact definition, and it certainly has to do with science and alchemy. And that's what we're able to see. What happened to Texas recently was just as good as black magic.
Yeah.
because the technology was used against it, and those who used it knew exactly what they were doing, and have full power over that now that this faux president is in office.
Mm.
And so I'll stop there and let Judith guide me, because I wanted to say all of that of a piece, and I can certainly address separate questions
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
you have them, Judith.
Yeah. You know, sometimes I have these odd moments. I'm doing something very, very mundane, let's say vacuum cleaning or doing the dishes. And then out of the blue, a thought hits me.
Yes,
And it is
exactly.
not that I'm striving for it, it's just poof,
Yes.
there. And the other day I had this experience, and all of a sudden I thought, the Georgia Guidestones, there is one commandment where it says, unite humanity under one living language. And during my vacuum cleaning, I thought, yeah, that's the hive mind. That's not really a language like English, German, Arabic, whatever. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right, except that they could use English, or English now is the one language that they use at meetings and sorts of things. The question I have would be, when the Georgia Guidestone, and I read that years ago, when it says it, is it just to keep the people's minds in that particular format?
Mhm.
Because every language, I mean, we have lost so many languages, thousands of languages, because we've lost thousands of separate groups of people as they've whittled us down, down, down to collective, collective, collective. And you know, I started life out speaking Romanian. You probably started life out thinking German.
Mhm.
And Romanian is different from English as you can possibly imagine. It's very much a Romance language. It's very much based almost entirely in Latin. And so when I later studied Latin in school, it was like I already knew it.
Mhm.
I mean, it was very easy for me. That, but to compare the languages with English, I mean, a lot of people who've had to learn like English as a second language have felt it's very harsh and not soft, not this or that from their native tongue. And so if you make everybody speak one language in the world,
Mhm.
you're really controlling the mind, the brain. You're really controlling the brain. And that's what I thought when I read that from the Georgia Guidestones.
Mhm. Okay. So we have a lot of people that can't wait for the bionic eyes, ears, legs, what have you. Personally, I think that this entire scenario with, oh, we can live forever, we upload your consciousness into a machine, that will not work. I do not believe that it's possible to store that consciousness in a machine. And I would be a little bit cautious here because I'm pretty sure all these so-called benefits with the bionic ear, eye, whatever, and the nanobots that repair you from inside and no longer needed to go to a surgery, blah, blah, blah. I have a strong feeling that is for a select few, and it will not even be offered to the peasants.
No, I think you're right.
Mm.
Absolutely. And these people who think that this bionic vision of our bodies sounds fascinating and wonderful, obviously don't understand how fascinating and wonderful a real human being is. and a real human body. I mean, I'm learning a lot about the body because I have to read so much about synthetic biology, and this body is absolutely extraordinary. It's it's what's happening is the transhumanist dream is to turn us into machines. Period.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can get a Titanic, you can get a hip, you can get an eye, you can get a this or that, and become semi-cybernetic, like a hybrid. You would then be called a hybrid, or you can be built and constructed
Excuse
from
me,
the
one
bottom
second.
up.
So that means at that point you are no longer a real human. You're a hybrid.
Well, in a sense, no. In
Mm-hmm.
a sense, no, because now you have that particular device and you think it's just a device. You don't understand what's in that device. First of all, there's a whole nanotechnology swarm in that device. And when I say swarm, I'm talking about a state of consciousness that nanotechnology has. This is the absolutely horrifying, actually, in a way, part of nanotechnology that most people don't know about. They haven't been taught about it. Is that it has its own consciousness, and that consciousness is the best word is swarm or the hive mind. That is the hive mind. And the hive mind is the nanotech that lives in us. And it can be, because it's been engineered, bioengineered, it can therefore be run outside because it has very tiny microprocessors in it, little tiny computers. Not all of them, not all of the nanobots. Some of the nanotechnology is just, they're just like grunts in an army. They're not the ones with the brains. They do what they're told. And then there are those that are the actual nanobots, that are in touch with what I call the laptop boys sitting in Denver, or the satellites above, the AIs that are in satellites above us, that we will be run by these systems, because these systems will eventually replace our own real blood vessels, just as they're going to take, they take somebody's hip out, the hip bone out that is not working, and put in another metallic one. In that way, we will eventually be replaced. And because we're the common people, we're the ones that they want to do the experiments on, not the elites who have their own devices. They have their own devices. And the one device I thought was very like what I think they have is that one in the movie Elysium,
Yeah.
with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
I think they all have one of those, and they are able to use it for maintaining their health. They are breathing the same atmosphere as us to a degree, but they rarely come into our where we are. So they're not breathing the heavy metals, and if they are breathing them, they can easily have them detoxed, because they have their own. They live an extremely different life from how we live, and so the idea that we are going to be destroyed by them, I don't see that, en masse. I don't see it. I think it would be the easiest thing in the world for them to do, but I think we're entirely too valuable as guinea pigs to experiment on. So when people say things like that about how wonderful it's going to be, these are TV people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk to TV people.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say. First of all, I don't even know what's on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly don't listen to NBC, ABC, CBS, all the liars, because I have a lot of good sources now of real thinking people, a real democratic movement going on that is called by mainstream media false news, but is really the real news. So you see, we have this inversion going on. Everything they're saying, it's almost the opposite is true. So, it's great to hear them say it, and then you can go, okay, so they said that, so I'll think the opposite. And that's kind of where we're at now in this bizarre moment of so-called civilization. I mean, it's bizarre.
Mm.
Absolutely bizarre. If you feel like it's bizarre, you're right.
Yeah, I constantly have the feeling I'm in an open air madhouse.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
So what would you tell people that say, yeah, but look, we are already using heart pacers?
Well,
To me, that is
you know,
not the case.
I can't judge that because we have I think the new thought form is now here where we have the opportunity to think, what is this technology that is being put into our bodies, like this vaccine? It's obviously not just another vaccine. It's a technology.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of people won't hear that because they've got their TVs on. And it may actually be that that's how things are to go now, is this grand split in humanity. That may be happening. Certainly Rudolf Steiner prophesied that it would one day come. I think he thought it would be, hoped it would be much later, but it might be now. Might be that there are the people who love the machines and go toward the machine and become a machine. And then there are the people who don't trust the machine, who don't necessarily, they're not Luddites, they're not like throwing machines out and burning them up. But on the other hand, they're not comfortable with the machines running our lives. And so they go another way. And that may be what's going on right now. I mean, I can't believe I'm so fortunate as to live in a time of massive change in humanity, but I may be living in such a time. I'm certainly paying very close attention to what's going on because it will have to do not just with my future now here, but with a future of another time. And I pay very close attention because of that. And I certainly have no desire or fantasy that I can save any of humanity. But what I can do is remind, just like Socrates did, remind people of what they once knew. That's what all knowledge is, said Socrates. It's just memory of what you once knew in another time, as another person, in another people. And that's kind of how I feel what my task is. And I certainly want to encourage people to have their own life, because the people who are saying, wow, great, I'm going to get a titanium knee or whatever, and I want to be a machine and I want to live forever, those are not my people. Those are somebody else's people or something else's people. And I don't want to stop them or deter them in any way. I want them to have that free choice
Mm.
to take the path they take,
And
and it
I
will lead
smell a
where it
deep,
will go.
sorry,
Huh?
sorry, I smell a deep-rooted fear of death in all of this.
Well, everyone always has. It seems like most people have a fear of death.
Mm.
I certainly don't, because I died once in a wave. I may have told you about that, Judith, when I was 22. I died, and I got a look at how great it is, down that long tunnel, and I have no fear. But I think if you continue to watch television, you will. It's a big mistake.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think if people could just do that one thing, an entire false reality would collapse, and they would begin to have their own thoughts
Mm.
and their own fantasies and their own insights.
And if we combine it with throwing away the smartphones, oh, that would be swell.
That would be very good. I know they're convenient. See, I don't have the habit, so I'm going entirely on hearsay. I have a landline that is just inert. I haven't bonded with it particularly. I don't take it to bed with me. I don't cuddle it and check it every 45 seconds or whatever that is that people do. Um, I use it for business, and I have my own thoughts. I have my books. I have a lot to do. It's not like I'm bored. I was thinking the other night as I'm looking out at this apartment complex I live in, that most people in this apartment complex in the evening, they're watching television. I mean, it's like I should have realized that 2 years ago, right, when I moved in, but it just suddenly occurred to me, wow,
Yeah,
how strange.
everybody. Mm.
Yeah, everybody. And it's like sadder than sad,
Mm.
because I've never, ever had that habit.
Yeah.
Not even in my childhood. I was raised without TV. I remember the black and white TV was so awful. You could hardly see anything well. So why spend the time? And so I read a lot. And here I am, a full-on real human being.
Yeah. And also with the smartphones, a lot of the control grid is hinging on that with the immunity passports and, tracking you and blah, 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 blah. So if we really wanted, we could put a huge fork into the road
Yes. Oh,
and it
yes.
would collapse overnight. But I love myself. Yeah, you love your prison cell. I get it.
Exactly. That's
Continue playing.
exactly. It's the perfect word, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it is. It's one of the big lessons of this era,
Hmm.
and it'll go hard with some people. It'll go
Yeah.
hard.
I had yesterday an interview with Wayne McRoy, and we talked
Oh, I
about.
like Wayne. I've read his book
Uh,
on autism. Oh, it's fantastic.
yeah. And we talked a little bit about the different yugas, the time cycles that
Yeah.
we are going through. And according to that model in the Kali Yuga, people are totally focused on the outside world and there is no life going on inside. You know what I mean? And when I look at that, yeah, it's true. It's
It is. And,
perspective.
it's a mystery to me, Judith, because Rudolf Steiner says that the Kali Yuga ended in 1899.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a transition phase now. And so I keep hearing that the Kali Yuga is continuing. And I think, was Steiner wrong? Or are we looking too narrowly at this?
Also, I read a couple of teachers, and some say we are at the ascending uh, part of the Kali Yuga, meaning we are slowly moving out of it. And others say, it also depends on your own perception, what you think and how you feel, where you are living. But to me, I have to say, to me, that really feels like Kali Yoga.
Yeah, I know. I mean, not that, I'm going to change anything because of that, but for me, it has ended. And this thing going on now is completely generated from a satanic phalanx
Yeah.
of elites. And they have tremendous power because they have these terrible bloodlines that they've sacrificed so many children for. That I feel that that's why it's important to unravel the evil. That would be what I'd call this era I'm living in, is where the evil is now through what Michael Hoffman calls the revelation of the method. You can see it. You can now see it if you so choose to look. And that's, of course, I've spent my whole adult life, possibly at least 40 years, studying and writing about this evil that I have discovered, and I think that, yeah, I like that idea of the Kali Yuga on the upswing, because maybe that's it. Is there's an overlap. I mean, other people, though, Judith, are telling me it's the age of Aquarius. This is not the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius will not come for another, I don't know, 100 or 200 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know there are very, very different points of views there.
yeah, but how could you have Kali Yuga still going on and it's the age of Aquarius?
Yeah, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, you know, and Saturn has a lot to do with restriction and with, yeah, control, and it's very authoritative. And so I don't know why the hippies were so beside themselves of the coming of the age of Aquarius, because it really, really has some, yeah, difficulties. Yeah, not only difficulties, it's harsh.
Well, and I think that it's that some people don't realize there's a man behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I am super aware that a man is behind the curtain, and it's like the Christians that I encounter now and then, who tell me that this is the end time. You know, the man behind the curtain can use that. The man behind the curtain knows about that idea and can use it and exploit it, just like you can exploit the Kali Yuga, just like it can exploit the Aquarian era. If you don't know about the man behind the curtain, that's the first thing you should be concentrating on, is how they're using that, because they use our belief systems behind us all the time. So anyway, that's what I've chosen to do. I don't make any grand statements about Kali Yuga and Aquarian age or anything. It's all sort of tangential to me. It's not really important anyway, because I'm so immersed in my time as I try to find out the components that are using the puppet show here, so that we can see through that to our own lives. That's what I concentrate on.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to go down various avenues.
I know you do. I know you do. That's good. That's you. That's different from me.
And
I'm pretty much this, I stay on a track until finally the little voice inside says, good job, you're done now. And then I can move on to something else I'm interested in. That's what I'm going to do when this book is done.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, great. So would you say you are silently optimistic that we can, yeah, turn this around?
Turn this around. Turn what around?
The possibility that we all turn into machines and that there will not be one shred of freedom left.
No, I think there will always be something of freedom left, because I'm now convinced that that we're separating, that the human race is separating.
But we will share the same world?
Sure, sure.
And how do we do that?
Well, I can envision little enclaves off over here, and and then maybe there's a law against that, and then there's a battle, and I can envision all kinds of things going on around the controllers wanting us all to be hive mind, right? And then you've got people who aren't hive mind. So what do you do about that? Well, you kill off a bunch that are a problem at the time, but you can't kill them all. So maybe they'll find another way to do it. I don't know, but I'm sort of, the way I look at it is, I believe there is a divine world, and that the divine world is in charge, period. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. But the problem is, for us here, little tiny people that we are, with our little tiny consciousness and our fears and our anxieties and all that, is that we don't know because we are free will beings, because we, I know I've said to you before, Steiner said that humanity is the religion of the gods, because we are free will beings, and not even the angels are free will beings. And they will not interfere with our free will. The spiritual world will not interfere. But if the planet is jeopardized, and now we're in the realm of geoengineering, because they could easily jeopardize this planet, period, with a couple of acts, no problem. Then that will not be allowed, not be allowed at all. And that will be the end of it, rather like what Atlantis probably went through. Because Atlantis was also a technological error.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have that as a backdrop and a relief. That takes the terrible burden off my shoulders. Now, what we have to deal with is a real human affair here, and our relationship with our institutions, for one thing, our relationship with nation states, for another. And meanwhile, we have the invisible masters, the global elites, who's, we will never really see them, but we will feel the brunt of their actions through their puppets, like Bill Gates. So we have to figure this out. And as we figure it out, it's like you having your thought at the kitchen sink. That's where our thoughts come from a scalar level. They are not physical. The brain is not producing the thoughts.
No.
You're simply diving off of your brain in order to have these scalar events. And those scalar events are tied to the quantum level of reality. And so by pulling your thoughts up into something where you're really doing some work and not just down here scrabbling and having feelings and emotions and fears and all that, where you're engaged in the spiritual world itself. That's what thinking really is. Not abstract thinking necessarily, where you're thinking of maybe a math problem, but where the great thoughts are. This is a different realm, and you have access to that if you so choose. But you have to have a very strong will in order to do that kind of work, and in order to penetrate. Rudolf Steiner, if it seems like I'm too much with Rudolf Steiner, the guy saved I was very much an intellectual, but that's not what I'm talking about. He was able to show me how I could develop my thinking to a much greater level than I was doing it in academia, where I did very well. So for me, this is the key, and being able to function from that level. This will not end. We will keep going. There is no question. We will keep going. I am not afraid in the least of that. So to me, that's all I care about. If I can be in the field of action, I'm a happy soldier, because I'm here to represent humanity at its best. That's all I want to represent.
Yeah. That was a very nice closing. So good. The famous last words. Oh, what am I doing here? My goodness.
Well, it must be pretty late there, Judith.
Yeah, it is, but still, I should be able to operate this.
The machine.
Yeah, but this paid version of Zoom, it has some, it's minor, but it has some other features. And, when you use one thing for a really long time and you do it almost blind,
Yeah.
and then out of the blue, what?
Well, and that's sometimes good, because at least you're a little bit awake and not just sleeping through it like with the thing you're very good at.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Done? Are we done?
We are done. I promised you not a good hour, and I think we are over that.
That's all right. That's all right.
It's all
It's been a
right.
long time. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you're doing well, other than your pinky toe.
Yeah. Yeah, it will get better. No problem.
All right, and the book will be out in
Yeah.
well, April is what I'm aiming for, but because I'm doing it myself, I have to handle all these other things, and meanwhile, I'm trying to concentrate on writing. So we'll see, but I won't shirk my duty to do as good a representation as I can. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. It'll probably be the biggest book I've done yet.
Yeah, and the others are whoppers as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I said something stupid months ago where I said, "Oh, there probably won't be that many footnotes." Oh, that's so not true. That is so not true. What was I thinking?
Yeah. I know when I bought Gary Wayne's book, that book has
What book is that?
the Genesis 6 conspiracy, how
Oh my
secret
gosh.
societies
Oh my gosh.
try
Yeah,
to
that's
enslave
intense.
humankind. So, and when I opened that book, and then at the end I noticed that the footnotes in that book alone are between 200 and 300 pages.
Yeah.
Only footnotes.
Wow. No, I don't think I'm that bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, Judith, I'm gonna go.
Okay, Elana, all the best for the book and for the last chapter. So this was it, Night Flight for today with the wonderful Elana Freeland. Stay safe and sound out there, and until next time, bye-bye.